On this week's Hockey Inside Out, what should the Canadiens do with Karl Alzner, and what's the biggest negative about the team so far this season? Maybe it's Karl Alzner. My name is Adam Susser, and I think you know the panel by now. We got Stu Cowan over there, CBC Daybreak's Jessica Rusnak, and Mr. Chris Nyland. Let's start the show. The Canadiens are 1-11 in their last 12 OT or shootout games, and Carey Price has not been able to piece together a win the last 7 times the Canadiens have gone into overtime. How would you explain that?
Who cares? Who cares? Yeah, they don't score those timely goals to win. Listen, this team has really had a great start this year, and there was so much negative last year. It's like I have a hard time to try and look for negative stuff or say what's wrong with this team. They've come out great. They've had a great start. You know, I was listening this morning to a show with people saying, oh, the last 2 games they've had these letdowns. Is this going to be a problem? Hee-haw! Hee-haw! It is insanity. And, you know, there's another team that plays against the Canadiens that on certain games, certain nights, they are going to come back at you and come back at you hard. Canadiens had so many opportunities early in that game, into the second period, a little lull in the third. Oh, well. That's hockey. It's going to happen. You're not going to play flawless for 60 minutes.
You're on a roll, Knuckles.
No, it's just,
I think
it's crazy.
I think the OT thing goes back to a lot about last year also, when they were so defensive minded. You know, I talk about Thomas Plekanec starting overtime periods. It's like they were playing not to lose as opposed to trying to win, and I think that philosophy has changed, and I think we'll see that those numbers probably change this season when they get in more shootout and overtime games. But you know, Chris is right. I mean, it's what this team has done so far to start this season is quite remarkable and very impressive with this new philosophy, and I think moving forward is going to help them everywhere, including shootouts and overtime.
And I know you want to give Marc Bergevin all the credit in the world because you love Bergie.
Hey, credit where credit's due.
I'm way to go, Bergie.
I'm paid to call it as I see it.
Yes.
And as I say, people say I was negative. They finished 28th last year. They missed the playoffs 2 out of 3 years. Of course I was negative. It's writing what you see. Now I'm positive. They're playing well. They're doing well. And Marc Bergevin does deserve credit for what he did during the offseason. Having said that, he also created the problems he had to fix. So that's another thing. But credit where credit's due. He's done a really good job in the offseason.
He maybe inherited some problems, too.
Will you be part of Bergie's buddies then? Friendship group?
I don't know. I've never sat one-on-one with Bergie, and I probably never will.
I keep requesting entry to that group.
Not allowed. What I find with the Canadiens, because that record does have, as Stu was saying, that a lot to do with the last season, but this year that they've been able to play with a lot more confidence and being able to correct the problems that they've had. Use the Ottawa example Saturday night, they blew a 2-goal lead. Then the game against Calgary, they could have been in a similar situation. Calgary scored to then make it a 1-goal game, but they were confident. They didn't start to panic and say, oh, here we go again. They said, we know what could happen. We saw what happened Saturday, and we're not going to let it happen tonight. And they were able to come out.
They've shown an ability to bounce back this year, which they didn't have last year, right? One loss led to another loss, led to people slumping, led to what you know, Andrew Shaw told me it was toxic in the locker room last year. I mean, that's a strong word. And this is Andrew Shaw.
This is Andrew Shaw. Winning teams in Chicago, like a real good hockey team. That's saying a lot. So when you hear that attitude thing about Bergevin last year, and everybody's making fun of Bergie, well, his attitude, blaming it on Max, blaming it on this guy. For Shaw to say it was toxic, there was something.
And he's a character guy. I mean, Andrew Shaw is one of the most popular guys in the room, and when he said the word toxic, I sort of went, wow.
So is attitude what you'd say would be the biggest difference in the team this year? If not, what do you think you see as the biggest difference?
I mean, they've got talent. Thomas Tatar's been talented. Max Domi has really impressed me. They've got better players this year, and the attitude. Obviously, there was an attitude problem. Whether that was the big problem last year, it was part of the problem. They've obviously seemed to have fixed that, but of course, winning fixes everything. This team will go through a slump at one point. We'll see how the attitude reacts then. But no, everything looks good right now.
But that's just it. That players are playing up to their potential where they need to be. Jonathan Drouin to start the season was a little bit shaky, and then he's been able to pick up his game. But as I said, attitude's easy now because things are going as they are hoping it would go. But then when things like last season were going bad, it's hard to go into the room and say, well, you know what, they're losing, but they've got a terrific attitude. You never hear that. So right now the attitude is good because they're winning.
Well, the work ethic too. I mean, there's no doubt that Max Domi and Tatar work harder than Alex Galchenyuk and Max Pacioretty. You don't see the poke that Pacioretty was famous for. I mean, Max can score 30 goals. He had that shot, but these guys are going all out, and Jonathan Drouin has sort of been dragged along with them. I mean, if you're playing on a line with Max Domi and you're not working, you're really going to stand out like a sore thumb.
Do you think the team has been playing better than they actually are? Or do you think they're this good?
I think that they're able to use their speed to their advantage, and that's something that Brendan Gallagher said, to be able to use their speed and force the other team to try and play their game rather than trying to have to catch up with the other team. But I think that's one of the bigger differences for them. And he even said when they practice with a higher level because there's so much inner competition right now that they're fighting for jobs, and it's making sure that everyone comes in with the right work ethic, because if they're not practicing hard, there's someone knocking at the door to take their spot.
Yeah, they're playing a much better team game. They're a whole lot better as a group on the ice. There's one area, obviously, that's a concern, and always is in the defensive zone when teams start to run around. I've seen in the early going here, for a team that wants to protect their goalie, for a team that doesn't want to give up those opportunities, they seem to miss assignments at times. They get drawn to the puck a little too much, and that with time will change, with video, with sitting down, with coaching. So they got to clean up a couple areas, but they play a much better team game.
I think the inner competition is huge too. Just the fact that they sat Karl Alzner and showed that it doesn't matter how much you make, what your contract is, what status you are as a veteran. If you're not playing well, you will sit. And I think that is a message that went clearly through the room. And as you say, guys are fighting for their jobs.
You will sit and still get your paycheck.
Not bad. I would like that.
Defenseman Jordie Benn has been playing some of the best hockey of his career since arriving in Montreal. What do you think has changed for him?
Competition, yeah. You know, it's like that inner competition. Like, you know, you could be out of the lineup as quick as you're in the lineup. So, and I think he probably focused on moving that puck a little quicker now. Again, last year when things are like they are, it's terribly difficult to get your game going. You can try all you want, but when you got forwards going up the ice, turn their back to defensemen, who are you going to give the puck to when you're looking at their numbers? This team this year is coming back to the puck a whole lot better than they were last year. Guys are getting available for the puck, and that certainly benefits a guy like Jordie Benn.
I think Luke Richardson has a lot to do with it. I'm amazed how many defensemen I've talked to this season. I haven't brought up Luke Richardson. They have. I asked them a question about something else, and Luke Richardson's name pops up. Jeff Petrie, after the Calgary game, I asked him, you know, how are you more comfortable now in the number one role compared to what last year after Shea Weber went down? And he said Luke Richardson was a big part of it. He said he's taught me to be more aggressive in certain situations, and just his positive attitude and the way he has dealt with the guys, the way he's talked with, the way he's been dealing with Karl Alzner as a healthy scratch, making him feel he's still part of the team, keeping his spirits up. I saw Richardson on the ice after the morning skate Tuesday working with Alzner doing skating drills. Richardson skates like he could still play in the NHL, but he was really pushing him. So I think Luke Richardson has had a really big impact on this team quickly this season.
When the season started, Jordie Benn came in and said that I have to earn my spot every single year, and having that kind of mentality that he had to raise his game and the inner competition that we spoke about, that he realized that, you know, he needs to be at his best. And I think he also wanted to redeem himself a little bit from the years before, being in the shadow of his brother, Jamie Benn. He said a lot of times people said, oh, well, you only got onto this team, you got this kind of contract because of your brother. This is when he was playing in the minors. And I think he's always trying to prove that he's also a hockey player that's, you know, not as skilled as his brother, but is someone that deserves to play in the NHL.
But one thing with the Canadiens do transparency, one thing I wish they'd do for the media and in effect for the fans is let us talk to the assistant coaches once in a while. Like, I'd love to be able to talk with Luke Richardson and just see exactly what he's been doing, not just for me, but to let the fans know. But maybe
Call
that's
Bergie.
something. Call Bergie, my buddy Bergie, he'll do it. He'll set me up right away. That's
Call
it.
Bergie,
That's it.
he'll say no problem, Stu. Go right ahead. Or Mr. Molson, they'll help.
I'll message Bergie on Facebook. You know, maybe. Karl Alzner is in the second year of his 5-year, $23+ million contract. Since joining the team, he has not been able to play up to his pay grade. He's slow and the team keeps getting faster. What do you think the Habs should do with him?
Well, this isn't, we were talking about Bergey's buddies before. This isn't one of Bergey's better moves. I don't know which scout saw Karl Alzner and thought he could still play in today's NHL with the speed. What do you do with him? I mean, he can't get in the lineup when Schlemko and Weber are out injured. What's going to happen when they come back? I mean, obviously they'd love to trade him, but nobody's going to take that contract. I don't know if you do what the Wade Redden. Remember when Wade Redden was playing in the AHL, making $6 million a year? I think that's what might happen with Alzner unless they buy him out. I just don't see how we can have a regular spot on this team.
I think they had a good opportunity when Victor Mete had that minor hand injury, a way to put him into the lineup without sort of disrupting the vibe that they had going. And then they saw that he's really not someone that you can keep in the lineup, and you had to get Victor Mete back in. But again, it's a situation that I think you almost just have to buy him out because you can't trade him, and he's really just not doing anything for your team.
Yeah, I'm sure Berge would like to have this one back, but that's when you're in a situation where you get desperate, and I think he was at the time for a defenseman. He went out and signed him, and he's stuck with him now in a sense. But listen, in defense of Alzner, it's easy to, kick this guy when he's down, but he played way too much last year. He's 5'6" at best, and he was overplayed last year. He stuck out like a sore thumb on some nights. And I think not starting the season, having a tough camp, put some pressure on him. You get back in the lineup. He's in a situation the other night in Ottawa where he panicked with the puck, threw it away. That pressure, he's feeling it. I feel bad for the guy, honestly. I hope his fortunes turn around, but I don't know if he's going to get that opportunity too soon unless there's injuries.
I feel bad too. I mean, the two nicest athletes I've ever met in doing this job are Karl Alzner and Vasek Pospisil, the Canadian tennis player. Two nicest guys I've ever met, and you do feel bad for him. The thing is, even when Alzner, I don't know Berge.
Berge's probably number two.
Even when Alzner is playing, though, he's done 5 or 6 role. That's a lot of money. I mean, I look at Xavier Ouellet, who was really. The other night I was saying in the press box, I said, I don't notice Xavier Ouellet, which is a good thing. If you're a number 5 or 6 defenseman and I didn't notice you, that's good. That means you haven't made any mistakes. So Xavier Ouellet's making, I think, $800,000 or something as a 5 or 6 defenseman. Karl Alzner, the way his contract breaks down, is earning $6 million this year.
Do you think it's a question of his confidence, or do you think he's just not fast enough? He's not good enough.
I don't know if it's confidence maybe right now, but his ability, he's just a 5'6" as far as a defenseman. He's down a third pair in D, and like I said, last year overplayed. It could be somewhat, could be his confidence, but he certainly doesn't have the skating ability to do it night in and night out up in the top 4 somewhere. So, he's going to struggle at times. There's no question about it. Again, I'd like to see his fortunes change, but it is what it is.
Well, his game was.
Oh, I'm not supposed to say it is what it is.
His game was built for the old NHL, right? Cross-checking guys in front of the net, pinning guys against the boards, big, strong guy. The game's changed.
So there's a lot of positives to talk about when talking about the Canadiens so far this season. They've surprised pretty much everyone. Let's get a little pessimistic, though. What are some of the things that you don't like at this point in the season about the Canadiens?
Didn't Ty Domi say we can't talk negatively about the team when they're
can.
doing?
That's right. He said he wouldn't.
Can.
He said he wouldn't talk to us anymore when he comes back to Montreal. I mean, Knuckles touched on it earlier. I think they do seem to maybe hold back a little bit sometimes when they get the lead. But I think that's just. I mean, when you were playing, is that sort of like just? Does it just come into your head when you're up by 2 goals?
I don't know if it's holding back so much as it's the other team picks up their game at times, and you end up getting hemmed in. You make mistakes. It's a game of mistakes. Guys are gonna make them, and the one thing with a young team like that in the defensive zone, and I've seen it already on a few occasions where guys get drawn to the puck. Stone's goal the other night, all alone at the side of the net. The puck comes out after the giveaway by Alzner. The puck comes out. Everybody went to the puck. Nobody bothered taking Stoney. He's all alone. Things like that. And there are going to be breakdowns. It's what you do after those breakdowns. Someone's going to make a mistake. Well, what are you going to do to help correct that mistake for your teammate? And that's been an issue in the early going here with them. And I think that'll get better with time, with coaching, sitting down doing video, saying, hey, in this situation, we got to settle down, don't panic, and look around and pick someone up.
Yeah, with Dominic Ducharme and Luke Richardson and you guys behind the bench, I think they've so far done a much better job of picking up on little things and fixing them.
Okay, well, I guess that's it for this week's show. What do you think is the worst part about the Montreal Canadiens so far this season? Let us know in the comments section. My name is Adam Susser, and I'll see you back here next Thursday.